Well,
And
after one, well,
we've been known for our customer service since 1973.
what
We've been
is
good,
that?
fellas. And today we're 50.
What was that? That's quite all right. It interrupted my intro, Mr. Ray. Uh, we've
Oh,
got after a one-day break. We have severe weather breaking out from Texas up to Iowa tonight with lots of severe thunderstorm and tornado warnings up. There's also some thunderstorm activity not too far away in parts of northeastern Pennsylvania and on up into New York State. We'll take a look at that to see what the next several days will bring and maybe even sneak a peek at the weekend. We do all of these things here tonight on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast, which of course is brought to you by Tempest by WeatherFlow. Get that revolutionary Tempest weather system that you can run on your mobile device and join the fastest growing observing weather network on the planet. The link is on the description to this podcast. And if you purchase the weather station, easy to install, by the way, or anything else that they have, because they have all sorts of fascinating weather gadgets and gizmos, do do use the coupon code spring 2024, because if you don't, you won't get.
you won't get, yes, 10% off.
Right. But if
Right.
you do use it, you will get.
You'll get 10% off.
Yes, exactly.
You win both
Well,
ways. Well, you
you
win one
do.
way or the other way.
Correct. What does she want?
I don't know. What do you want? Oh, it's going to rain and she has to get stuff in from outside.
What, the laundry on the line?
No, no. What we've been
With
doing
the
the
with
last
the with the rope with the wheel?
no, what
You,
we've been doing the last couple of days is we drained the hot tub. If you want to, the absolute
oh, well, why don't you have the help do that?
the help,
Well,
the
right.
help.
You have a hot tub, la dee da. I don't have a hot tub.
I got her that hot tub for our 30th wedding anniversary, which was 10 years ago. And I have to tell you, quite frankly, quite honestly, the two of us, we have been in that hot tub in 10 years a handful of times. And in fact, I think the kids have been in there more than we have.
I
So,
was one. I was going to ask you about that, but I kind of figured that that's the road it went down on. Usually pools and hot tubs, but I will tell you, because I put up when I lived on Long Island, and I had, and I always called it the obnoxiously large swimming pool because it was a 25 by 45-foot L-shaped pool.
right.
I got my money's worth out of that pool. I was in it, in the summertime. I'd be in it almost every day.
Well, and now we have a pool again. We used to have a big above ground pool, but that kind of collapsed on us a few years ago. So
Right.
we now have one of those oval pools, but we take it down and then we have to put it up again. We'll probably do it next month. Lovely. I
All right.
just
Circular. It's not oval.
it's circular, oval, whatever.
Portions of this program have been pre-recorded. Welcome, everybody, tonight to the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast on this Tuesday night, the last day of the month of April. Tomorrow's May 1st. Oh, my God. Uh, well, we hope you enjoy the show tonight. If you do, hit the like button. So, because we like when people hit the like button, I say many times, we're very touchy. We're very needy people here. Subscribe to my YouTube channel so you don't miss us, because we are here Sunday through Thursdays at 7:35 p.m. and the occasional Friday and Saturday. And Prime Minister Ruben Fairchild wants to know why we don't give pollen counts. Oh, come on. Seriously? You need us to tell you that it's spring and that it's causing pollen issues? I don't see the point. Do you see the point?
I don't either. No. Allergy and
I,
pollen stage. Well, it's. Do you like to see your car go turn green? I mean, all right. So maybe
well,
we
this was the
give
only
an
time.
unusual pollen. We give an unusual pollen update. The percentage of your car that's green, let's say,
All right.
all the pollen.
Well, I never, unlike unlike a lot of people, I don't really have an allergy problem. It was always a minor problem in this time of year, the first couple of weeks in May, when the oak trees would blossom out and spread all their pollen around. That was the one thing that would give me occasional issues, but the rest of the time, I nothing.
I used to have a magnificent oak tree, but no longer. A few years ago, the uh, the gypsy moths got hold of that, and now the tree is still out there, but it doesn't do anything anymore. It's you know I
By the
should
way,
I,
did I tell you yesterday that I saw a cicada coming out of the ground?
yes.
You know, for the whole, yeah, I didn't see any today. Maybe the rain prevented that, but I did see the first cicada come out of the ground yesterday. I didn't remember whether I said anything about it or not. Okay, let's talk weather because we've got a busy night tonight in the land of severe weather. Uh, you can guess where it is because it's pretty much in the same place where it's been for the last week. Just a 1 day break yesterday that they got, and now they're doing it all over again. We have two severe thunderstorm watches and two tornado watches up, and they extend from north central Texas through Oklahoma, and then on up through eastern Kansas, northwestern Missouri, and into portions of south central Iowa. SPC alerted everybody today with their risk zones, and probably will be a repeat performance tomorrow, although I think tomorrow is probably going to be a little bit further to the west. It's not as yeah, it's a robust outbreak. I mean, I got the radar up, Joe, and I mean there are a ton of severe thunderstorm warnings and even a couple of tornado warnings up in eastern Kansas at the moment. But this is probably one step below what happened back late last week in Nebraska and Iowa in terms of the number of severe weather warnings and the number of tornadoes. But nonetheless, it's a busy night tonight from Iowa all the way down into, well, actually all the way down to the Mexican border in the state of Texas.
It's a busy night locally. We have some heavy duty thunderstorms just a stone's throw away to my north and west, Joe.
Well, let me bring the radar up to speed here. There you go. So now we're looking. Oh, there's a severe thunderstorm warning in parts of eastern PA. So you go ahead, finish your thought.
No, I'm just going to say that they're not too far away, and any one of these are capable of producing not only just heavy downpours, but also maybe some pea-sized hail. I mentioned that in my Facebook forecast for tonight. The possibility that an isolated storm may cross through, and again, it's not too far away from where I am, so I'm not sure if I'll see any hail. But I wouldn't be surprised if I heard some rumbles of thunder between now and midnight tonight.
Well, we have a severe thunderstorm warning that was issued 5 minutes ago. Severe thunderstorms were located along a line extending from Danielsville to Schnecksville, moving east at 25 miles per hour. And this covers in New Jersey and in eastern Pennsylvania, covering the counties of Warren, Bucks, Carbon, Lehigh, Monroe, and Northampton. And on this radar is about 5 minutes behind, which is why you just see the one box there. But apparently they've extended that up to include Warren County in northwest New Jersey. You see it right there, that yellow box. Radar's probably about as busy as I thought it would be. And by the way, SPC did add a marginal risk for severe weather in this area, eastern Pennsylvania, northwest New Jersey, and points north and east up into the Catskills. During this afternoon, they went to a marginal risk there.
Yes, that was a bump up from just general thunderstorm activity, but the activity apparently peters out very quickly once it gets closer to the coastline, probably because of the onshore, the easterly or southeasterly winds. So, whatever is brewing or whatever is taking place, let's say in and around the Allentown, Bethlehem, Easton area of Pennsylvania or northwest New Jersey, even though it might be progressing east or east southeast, as it progresses closer to the coast, that activity will tend to diminish in terms of strength, so they won't be quite as robust as what is being seen right now, again, over portions of northeastern Pennsylvania and also upstate southeastern New York.
Yeah, a lot of showers up in central and up and northern New York on the radar, and also up into Vermont and even up into northern Maine. There's a couple of lines of showers and storms in southern West Virginia down into eastern Tennessee, another patch in western North Carolina, another line in easternmost South Carolina. So that covers the stuff in the east. And back to the severe weather that we're seeing in the from Iowa down into Texas. Let me just quickly refresh this. I have one, two, three, four tornado warnings. So it is 7:45 p.m. Eastern Time, 6:45 Central. So if you're watching this later on a replay, obviously this is dated. So make sure you go to weather.gov for the latest information regarding severe weather. But we've got a tornado warning for Cowley County in Kansas. Severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado near Oxford. We have in Douglas, Jefferson, and Shawnee County in Kansas, we have a tornado warning that's got about another half hour to go. Severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was 3 miles northwest of Grantville, moving east at 15 miles per hour. The third one is also for Douglas, Shawnee, and Jefferson counties. Actually, it's the same warning, and then they just reissued it. And then one more is in Oklahoma, in Kiowa, Oklahoma, Kiowa, has about another half hour to go. Severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located 6 miles north of Roosevelt, moving east at 15. So busy, busy, busy here with these severe storms, and I'm sure the storm chasers are out. Uh, you know, I'm trying to find these things, and please do it safely. Don't put your life in danger. I watched Adam Lucio's video again earlier today. It was gripping to me, and I don't, I'm not touchy about that sort of stuff, but um, it really was scary to see the tornado that he saw.
Well, he was the guy who, again, was supposed to speak with us last night, but instead opted to drive, was it 11 hours to
Yeah,
Iowa?
so he's in Iowa somewhere.
Yeah, yeah. Well, different strokes for different folks, I guess. I don't think I would do something like that, but again, I'm not a fanatic about placing myself in the direct path of any tornado activity, but there are some, and he is one of them.
Yeah, it never was my thing. I mean, I'd look from like a window, or maybe as a storm was approaching, I might go outside in my driveway and, look to where I could see the open sky. But, I wouldn't spend much time in there. Then I'd go back in. But yeah, it's not my thing. It's not your thing. Well, there are people that it is their thing. Meanwhile, up in the Northwest, we've got a peppering of rain and some mountain snow and valley rains from Washington and northern Oregon east into Montana and Idaho. Uh, don't see, yeah, there's actually a couple of winter storm warnings up in northwestern Montana in a couple of counties and a few winter weather advisories in others. But, that's pretty much about it. That's pretty much it. And on the satellite loop tonight with the lightning strikes, you see actually the storm show in eastern Pennsylvania producing a fair amount of lightning strikes there.
Well, yeah, and I said I wouldn't be surprised if I heard, some rumbles of that. I don't anticipate severe weather where I am, but we're in a location, Putnam Valley or Putnam County is in a place where we don't get quite the severity of storms that occur to our north and west, but we're not close enough to the marine layer, if you will, to see the thunderstorms completely peter out. So it would not be surprising if we, heard some peals or rumbles of thunder locally over the next hour or two. We'll see.
I put up the Fort Dix radar on the screen. Let's see if I make it a little bit bigger. 10, 20. There we go. So you can see the two severe thunderstorm warnings that are up. So they added a second box that goes into parts of Warren County in western New Jersey. That one cell that's north of Allentown looks like a powerhouse there.
It does. It certainly does. And kudos to the Storm Prediction Center for, as you pointing out, Joe, they put at least a marginal risk of severe weather in that general area this afternoon, bumping things up from just general thunderstorms that they originally had.
Yes, they certainly did. And here's what SPC is doing at the moment. You can see the two tornado watch boxes, one in Iowa, the other one down into Kansas. The severe thunderstorm watch that is issued to the east of that tornado watch box in Missouri. And also, we have a severe thunderstorm watch that extends down through western Oklahoma, back into Texas. We've got an enhanced risk of severe weather was indicated by SPC, and there's a 2 to 5% tornado risk in there. And it's playing out because we see the tornado warnings that are out. There's no tornado risk that's indicated for the Northeast. Or I shouldn't say it's not zero, but it's not 2% either. So it's under
Right.
2%.
Right.
Uh, it would be incorrect for me to say there's no tornado risk. Now, tomorrow, they shrunk, excuse me, they shrunk down the area of enhanced risk for tomorrow. South central Kansas and north central Oklahoma are almost onto the panhandle there, but it's a lot smaller than what it was earlier. They do have the same area of slight risk running in through Texas almost down to the Mexico border and then all the way up into southern Nebraska. And I'm guessing it's a 2 to 5% tornado risk being indicated. And on the next day, which is day 3, we have a marginal risk from central Texas northeastward, right up through Kansas and Missouri and Iowa and Oklahoma. It's pretty much again the same area that's getting it tonight, and then we'll get it again tomorrow. This has been an unusual stretch because 4 days in a row, then a break. Now we got 3 days in a row. 7 out of the last 8. When this is done, when we get to the end of the week here, so this is what this is Thursday into Friday. So when we get to Friday morning, it basically will be 7 out of the last 8 days where this area was getting thunderstorms and severe weather.
It's crazy. It really is, and does not want to. But this, again, as we mentioned a while back, typical for April is that sometimes you get into a pattern where one part of the country gets the same thing day after day after day, and other areas, the places that get it day after day after day, it may be, as we have been seeing in the nation's midsection, showers, thunderstorms, severe weather. We here in the Northeast have not really had it all that bad. We have been on the right side, I guess, of this blocky pattern, and while we haven't escaped rain completely, we certainly have escaped all of the mayhem that has been going on over the central part of the United States.
And with that thunderstorm activity has come rain, and this is on top of the rain that has already fallen in the last week. So we're looking at uh, another 3 inches plus in that reddish area that you see from um, eastern Iowa, actually even into southeastern Minnesota and northwest Wisconsin, down through northwest Missouri, southeast Kansas, all the way down into Texas and into western Louisiana. It's a pretty large area of an inch and a half plus that goes further up north into Minnesota and back into eastern Nebraska and a little bit further west into almost to central Kansas and almost into northwest Texas. So, uh, we were sitting last year with the Mississippi River dealing with a, a, a really serious drought situation up and down the Mississippi River Valley into, from Louisiana all the way up. This is not going to be the case this year.
Yeah, yeah. Well, not much I can add to that, can I?
No, I guess not. Uh, Not much in the east, a quarter of an inch for New England down to about New York City. Then they got a half to 3/4 from New York City down into Northern Virginia. And half to 3/4 in the Carolinas and into Georgia. much of the Ohio Valley over the next 7 days. Thankfully, we're not getting, after this front goes by in the Northeast and northern Mid-Atlantic states tonight, uh, we should see, some improvement and not much, if anything, rainfall wise until we get into the weekend, at least from what I saw.
But the weekend, unfortunately, if you have any outdoor plans, and this is the weekend before Mother's Day weekend, so maybe it's good that's happening this weekend. Maybe we can get all out, go get all of our system before the following weekend. But it looks to me, Joe, like um, we Sunday. What can you say? I mean, temperatures may only be in the 50s, and there's a rising threat of some wet weather, some showery weather. Of the two weekend days, the better, the drier will likely be, at least in the tri-state New York area, probably on Saturday, although Saturday may still have its fair share of clouds versus sun.
By the way, Brandon Doherty, thank you for hitting the super chat tip jar, and points out that this cell that's now closing in on Allentown, it's actually going right over Allentown at the moment, has ping pong ball size hail and
Wow.
70-mile-an-hour winds. I
Lovely.
I guess based on Doppler. I just gave the radar a quick refresh and put it back up on the screen so you can see.
Ping pong
Um,
balls. I mean, we sometimes will hear about baseball-sized hail or hail the size of teacups, although you don't hear that very often. But ping pong ball-sized hail, that could do some damage too. Could do damage to you if you go outside during a storm like that.
well, I've seen I haven't seen. I guess the biggest I've ever seen was maybe, I don't know, quarter size hail.
I think on one occasion I've seen hail the size of, let's say, a child's marble. But most of the hails that I've seen in my life has been more along the lines of pea-sized hail. So
All right, WPC has got a marginal risk for flash flooding in Northeast PA, up into the Catskills and points north and east. And that's sort of playing out with what's on the radar tonight. Also, a marginal risk in South Florida, marginal to slight risk from Texas all the way up into Minnesota, the slight risk in Southeast Kansas and Northeast Oklahoma. Now, tomorrow, areas of slight risk in Iowa, Northwest Missouri, Eastern Nebraska, Northeast Kansas, also Southern Oklahoma, and a good chunk of North Central and of Central and East Texas under a slight risk. So that would be a 15 to at least a 15% to as much as a 39% chance of flash flooding. 40% gets you into the next level. That puts you into the moderate risk. And then on day three, we have a moderate risk being indicated for Northeast Texas, Northwest Louisiana. So that's at 40 to 69%. So let's just say 40 to 70. 40 to 70% chance for flash flooding in that red zone there of moderate, and a big area of slight risk that goes from Texas all the way up into Wisconsin and southeast Minnesota. So, I mean, it's basically it's that same alleyway there with severe weather and with heavy rains. Uh, at least it's not continuous. I guess that's the one upside in all of this is the fact that it comes when the thunderstorms develop, but it's not like it's raining all day here in these areas. They get long stretches where it's not doing much of anything.
more or less, most of the time, not doing much of anything.
Right, which probably alleviates the flooding condition to an extent because if it were raining continuously, it would be a whole different story.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right, so let's see where we're going with this. I'm going to bring up the upper air or the upper scare. And uh, there's the troughing in the west, which is where it's been. More energy flipping around, lifting northeastward up through the Dakotas tomorrow night, which is so your severe weather area is going to be to the east of where that trough is. That lifts up. Meanwhile, here in the east, we get into a bit of a ridge position, which is nice. Come the weekend, some troughing swinging into the western lakes. There's nothing really overly, you know, threatening, but there's probably enough weakness there in the upper flow that we'll see some precip, and then there's a powerhouse upper low that comes into California on
Well,
Saturday and Sunday.
you talk about a cold core system coming into the western United States, and look at that, Joe. I mean, like how many contours is that? That's
Oh, one, two, three, four, almost five.
wow.
Yeah, and the thing is, it lifts up look at that. I mean, if this verifies, I mean, that's a wrapped up upper low that lifts up into in a negatively tilted fashion across Utah and Colorado and on up into Wyoming and eventually up into South and North Dakota. So you want to take a wager on whether there's going to be another there's going to be another severe weather outbreak in the plains of magnitude
This
if this
this
comes to pass.
this one looks like instead of concentrating the fury over, let's say, Oklahoma and Kansas and Nebraska, this one looks like it may be making its way toward the Dakotas and Iowa and Minnesota.
Yeah, more of a northern plains. We mentioned that last night, that it would be more of a northern plains system. Once that plays out, much of that energy then swings to the lakes and comes into the east for later next week. So there's probably going to be some kind of front around the 8th or 9th impacting the eastern part of the United States. That's a nice trough in shortwave around May 10th, May 11th, with an upper low dropping into Maine. Look at that. That's not too shabby.
Oh, that's not too shabby at all. Hey, if you can give me sharing capabilities, I do want to show you something I came across today on the internet. You may recall yesterday at around 5 or 5:30 in the afternoon, there was a severe thunderstorm that just popped up literally out of nowhere. Well, actually, it was right along that backdoor weather front and
Yeah, go
produced
ahead. You can go.
severe weather over a part of the lower Hudson Valley, not New York City necessarily, but just to the north. Well, somebody who it looks like this person was probably in Staten Island or maybe a part of northeast New Jersey, and pointed his camera and did a time lapse toward New York City, and you can actually see the buildup of the storm that took place yesterday afternoon. So let me just go here to share, and because this really is kind of an amazing. I'm gonna blow it up for full screen. So you watch this. This has no sound, obviously, because of the time lapse. But this is yesterday, the thunderstorm that again blew up over, I guess, Jersey and then moved eastward across the lower Hudson Valley. But look at the building cumulus. Here, of course, is New York. Here's the Freedom Tower. I presume this was taken from Staten Island. It looks like looking north. But look at this. Look at the way this thing just built over a span of time. This was
Wow,
taken
look
by
at that. Yeah, very impressive.
Nicholas Isabella took this shot. Woo!
Wow, look at that. Whoa, that's a
Classic tower cumulus
that's
cloud.
that's an anvil top. Look at that. Wow. That we don't get to see that too often. Most of the shots we see are usually from the ground, maybe with a little bit of elevation, but not like this. This was very impressive.
Indeed, this is kind of kind of stuff that you see, let's say, on a regular basis down in Florida. But wow, look at that! Look at that thing just blow up.
Yeah, you had
So
a weird thing yesterday because you had the backdoor front. At the same time, you also had a bit of a sea breeze front because all the winds on Long Island were on south facing shorelines were all from the south. And yet, if you just went just inland, all your winds were from the east. So you had some very bizarre things going on low levels anyway with the wind yesterday.
yep, and that again was probably right along the boundary of a very shallow backdoor weather front, which again looks like it was just a little bit behind schedule. But when it finally did start generating stuff, you saw what it generated. And interestingly, the models had kind of a line of showers along that front, but really the only thing that developed was that one huge, very condensed, very localized storm, which again just blew up literally over a span of only about 45 minutes to an hour, again over Westchester and Lower Hudson Valley.
Yep. All right, this front and a little wave move along, so they should be gone before daybreak. And tomorrow looks okay. I mean, probably nothing spectacular, maybe not picture perfect, but it should be okay. And I think Thursday and Friday look okay. There's some little system dropping. Actually, it's weird. It comes out, what's going on in the plains, lifts up over Lake Superior, and then drops down through northern New England. There's a low that drops down southeast and winds up in eastern Massachusetts Thursday afternoon. So it brings some showers up to northern New England, but to nobody else. Then that goes out. Friday's dry. So here comes another front for Saturday as we get, if you look in the plains again. So here's your severe weather tonight. And then here's what forms tomorrow from Texas, Wednesday night into Thursday morning, Texas up into Kansas, Missouri, Iowa. By the time we get to Thursday morning, that low goes up to the western lakes, pushes a front to the east, and it looks like it brings some showers Saturday afternoon into Saturday night and Sunday. And it's waiting for a second front to push it through, which it finally does. So then weather improves on Monday. Now, in the West, we talked about that system coming into California, and you can see the rain and the heavy snow in the Sierra Nevadas for a brief time anyway, come Sunday, Saturday night into Sunday. And then that low pushes up. It's a 74 low that develops, an 81 low in southeastern Wyoming. They're going to just blow, aside from whatever's going on severe weather-wise, look at the gradient on either side. They're going to blow away with this.
No question. No
Look at
kidding.
that.
Yeah.
And then there's severe weather that breaks out in the plains and in the Dakotas probably Monday night as the low goes into northeast Montana. And then as the front kind of lifts through the plains and then up toward the Great Lakes. Looks like the GFS generates some nasty weather, potential severe weather Tuesday late in the day and evening, in parts of eastern Iowa, western Illinois, and into Wisconsin and into the lower Great Lakes. That's a very large circulation there at the surface and both aloft, which we showed you before. Meanwhile, in the east, there's some rain in the southeast, but that doesn't make any northward progress. So right around May, here comes a front. Now look at that. That's on May 9th from Ohio down to Arkansas, and then you get some showers later on the 9th and into the 10th in the northeast. Now, we'll see how it plays out. I mean, the models have been pretty good at kind of pointing out all these severe weather outbreaks. So I don't want to, say that I don't want to criticize them too much, even though it's 8 or 9 days out. Um, they've had a good handle on this pattern for the last couple of weeks.
Ms. Spallery just mentions that the National Weather Service, actually, it's not the NWS, really. It's probably the National Weather Service. Storm Prediction Center does watches, and the local National Weather Service office issues a severe thunderstorm warning. It just issued one for her area, so fingers crossed, no tornadoes. Yeah, the way things have been going out in that area of the country, we have our fingers crossed too that there won't be any kind of significant problems or damage that take shape over the coming hours for you.
And in fact, boy, that's pretty impressive. Let me bring this up. Hold on. This is from Tornado HQ, tornadohq.com. And look at that cluster there. That's up in Nebraska. I wanted to see so this is I'm trying to just get a view of the geography here because I see there's Quincy, Illinois. So I'm guessing that's Manhattan, Kansas. And you've got, these four boxes here with two tornado warnings on this map. But I can't see the map background, so I can't find Kansas. Trying to go a little wider just so I could get a perspective here. All right, this I can figure out. Uh, there's probably a slight delay on this particular map here. I have a severe thunderstorm warning for Douglas and Franklin counties in Kansas that was issued 6 minutes ago. And severe thunderstorm located along a line extending from Lawrence to near Pleasant Grove to 3 miles northeast of Centropolis. That's an interesting named for a town, Joe, Centropolis,
Yes.
moving east at 55 miles an hour. I mean, rushing along at the speed limit. Now, here's the new one. This is for 8 miles east of Hazleton, moving east at 35. Severe thunderstorm warning for Harper and Sumner counties in Kansas. So that would be, I guess, one of these. I guess this one. There's Enid, Oklahoma. There's
I
Hutchinson.
guess, I guess Miss Mallory mentioned where she is, west side of Kansas City, Johnson County.
Johnson County. So, okay, so that's this one here. This is the severe thunderstorm. Okay, so this is, there it is. It's in this complex here. And
Ooh.
it's a severe thunderstorm warning over Williams, a severe thunderstorm located over Williamstown or 8 miles south of Oskaloosa, moving east at 45 miles per hour for Johnson, Leavenworth, uh, Wyandotte, and Platte counties in Kansas and Missouri. So it's in this complex here that you see, and there's a little red dot. So that is where the severe thunderstorm. When I clicked on the link there, it says to take you where the boxes are on the map. It's a pretty handy tool to have to watch all the warnings. To have all the warnings up for all the states and all in one place. This is tornadohq.com. For those of you who like to look at this sort of stuff on your free time.
And I'd be interested to know, how things evolved over the last 30, 40, 50 years over that part of the country in terms of weather presentation on television. Of course, here in the Northeast, and especially in New York, there was a time when the lone credential that you would need to present weather would be, a nice smiling face. Your degree could be more in jocularity as opposed to atmospheric science. And
Right.
I know you, Joe, worked with one person at a station more than a few years ago now, who was along those lines. But what do you do when you live in an area where your life at times could be literally, put on the line with some of this type of activity? I mean, then just smiling and telling a couple of jokes ain't going to make it. Which I guess is why you probably.
Oh, well, look, in the mid 80s, I worked in New Orleans, which was a serious weather town. And the fact is that most stations outside of New York, LA, and maybe a couple of others, weather was weather was a big deal. Weather was taken seriously. The big markets, the biggest markets, even in Chicago also, weather was taken actually seriously there. They had Tom Skilling forever. But uh, yeah, I mean, in New York, I mean, I remember when I started out, when I left New Orleans and then came back and started out on News 12. I mean, I was doing, when I was doing weather the way I thought it should be done. Um, but it was not, um, how shall I put it? It was it was different from what was being shown elsewhere. Let's put it along those lines. I took it seriously.
I mean, it was the thing I noticed is that you're right that you did the weather the way it should be done. It was important. The your colleague again took it very very lightly, but then there was some occasions where like for example, people who lived along the South Shoreline who lived in homes on stilts that were in danger of losing their home because of beach erosion and tidal flooding or whatever. And the other person, not you, but the other person, really, it was like Ralph Cramden, a hamina, hamina, hamina.
Yeah.
Really,
Well,
really did not have the ability of being able to talk seriously because where he had come from, he was from a New York station prior to going to News 12 Long Island, where all he had to do was just simply, smile a toothy grin and say, "Hi, how are you?" It's great, isn't it? But now it was important, and I don't think he really knew, what to say. And I'm just saying that in places like Kansas and Nebraska, where Oklahoma, where they're being subjected to this kind of activity night after night after night, a smile and a happy, All right, we'll see you tomorrow. Isn't going to make it when you're a weathercaster out in that part of the country.
Yeah, and those places always had decent, let's call them decent weathercasters. Okay. I mean, they took their job seriously.
Right,
And, the big markets were the biggest television markets were the last, New York and LA were probably the last two standouts in all of that. I mean, I would like to think that I had a little bit of an influence in them trying to see the value. And of course, they took it to complete extremes now where it's everything is the apocalypse.
right.
So, but that's a conversation I think for another day. Shall we do a little Briller Jeopardy?
Yes, I do believe you are the one with the questions tonight. Am I?
Yes, I am. And it's we're doing weather extremes in New York City for the month of May. What was the highest temperature ever at Central Park in the month of May?
Well, didn't you say or tell a story once about a forecast where the temperature was going to hit 100 in May, but the forecaster refused to let that happen? Or
Well, the forecaster started out that day with this is a story that Tom Morgan, who was a wonderful guy who worked at the NWS back in the 70s and early 80s before he retired, and he told the story about this particular day where the forecast high was for 65 to 70. And the forecaster had to keep sending updates out because as soon as he put out 65 to 70, it was 75. So as soon as he updated it to 75 to 80, it was 85, and on it went. And it got to the official high is 99, okay, which William Uber has. As I've told the story before, Northern Grace 99. Uh, the official high is 99, but according to Tom Morgan, it actually got to 101. And the forecaster went to the observer, said that if you put down, you're going to put down 99, put down 99. Like Ralph said to Norton, put down Nat,
yes,
right? So
a
put
lot.
down 90. If you put down 100, if you put down 101, I am going to, you know, I'm going to hurt you. Let's put it that way. So it stayed at 99.
All right, I'm gonna say 99 for the highest temperature in May. I don't believe it has ever gone above 100 degrees in the month of May at Central
No,
Park.
99 is the one.
Right.
99. So anyway, and that was on May 19th, 1962. The lowest temperature ever in the month of May.
Now the question here is, has it ever dropped to or below freezing in May? I think maybe once it got down to 32. I'll say 32.
And you can ring the bell for yourself
Oh,
if you'd
thank you.
like. And yes, 32 on May 6th, 1891. Okay, so it was
We'll never
kind of a
see that. We'll never see that happen again.
right. Record the coldest May high. Okay, the coldest high temperature
Oh
of the
well.
month of May. So
How about 47?
actually, that was too high. Michael
Wow.
McGuire says 41. Northern Grace gets it 43. So it was the day before the record low was set. This was on May 5th, 1891. The high was only 43, and it dropped to 32 the morning of the 6th. And the, the the last question tonight, I believe that's the last one. Okay, so New York City Central Park has had four traces of snow measured in the month of May. Can you name the years?
Four traces?
It's happened four times. Can you name the years?
All right. Well, the two latest, which was the 9th of May, was 1977 and again in 2020.
Correct.
So obviously, if there were two other trace amounts, it must have happened before May 9th. And I'm not really acquainted with those two other times.
Right, because a trace amount is not exactly a earth-shattering event, even when it is in the month of May. Um, so we could spend all day here putting years up. I'll just give everybody the answer. 1946 and then 10 years later in 1956.
Oh,
So the 4 years were 46, 56, which is your birth year, correct?
yes.
56. So you were still in utero when this happened. 1977 and 2020.
I might say that the day that I arrived on this planet, Thursday, August 2nd, 1956, it was a gorgeous, maybe I might even go so far as to say one of the nicest days in the history of New York weather. 75, deep blue sky at Central Park, few puffy fair weather clouds, low humidity, a lovely, lovely day. And I wish it could always be like that on my birthday, but I've known many a birthdays, Joe, where the humidity was sky high, the temperatures were very hot, you've had thunderstorms and whatever. That's what you have to deal with when you're born in the month of August. So
Yeah. I was a January baby, so I get snowstorms. Coin Pig in the UK says May's maximum temperature. Now, where in the UK, sir, is 91 Fahrenheit, and the lowest temperature in the month of May is 15.1. That's cold.
for the United Kingdom,
Yeah. But I'm wondering where. I mean, is that, you
that's
know,
cold that's cold for them even in January or February.
yeah. Wow. 15.1. That's low.
Whew.
Low. Okay, the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast is brought to you by Tempest by Weatherflow. Get the revolutionary Tempest weather system. Join the fastest growing observing weather network on the planet. The link is pinned to the description of this podcast. Use the coupon code Spring 2024, and if you do, you will get.
10% off.
Okay, so we'll be back to Brandon Doherty. Thank you for hitting the tip jar. And we'll be back tomorrow night at the usual time, 7:35.
We'll be here.
Nighty night, everybody.